Hello and welcome to Vision Denial. If I don't have the same energy, that's mostly because I gotta be mindful of others who are sleeping at this hour. But personally, I think this is a moment of reflection, of acknowledging hype, because oh god, this series was actually really phenomenal. I'm happy to have 2 years in a row in which Worlds is so good. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Hi, my name is Sam, and if you're new here, I watched every single playoff game of 2022 from all 11 participating regions. Yes, including that one. And I've dedicated the show on this channel here to covering everything Worlds related. And those either every day or every particular stage of brackets. And today, it's the finals, where we've got, it was T1 versus DRX. Many expecting T1 to win, as many expect DRX to lose on every occasion, and we find out, no, they just don't. So, we're going to go over the review that I put in, and I'll have that review up on TikTok like I do every time. The link of that will be down below. But otherwise, let's just go through it, and I'll give my thoughts right after. All right, it's the grand finals. DRX versus T1. I think no one expected this, and yet everyone expected this, especially as they got to this point. So let's do it one game at a time. T1, for game 1, was dominant from start to finish, and their control of neutrals was so much stronger, with better, just making this incredibly hard for how DRX will try to bounce back. We've seen how game 1 could be super misleading, and the other side usually comes back in situations like this. But this is a very hard angle for DRX to come back from. My MVP for this game is Faker, who created the large amount of pressure and zoning for his team with a lot of follow-up engages. The second game was a lot more chaotic. That was mostly in the control of T1, who made questionable macro choices that DRX took full advantage of, especially from their mispositioning to really capitalize and secure every single neutral. The issue here is that T1 had full control of the tempo of the game, and DRX did not establish enough vision to guarantee successful neutral plays. My MVP for this game goes to Beryl, who forced a lot of position issues for T1. Both sides had strong opportunity to secure neutrals, but rushed the setup and had weak side lane control. And for this game 3 was incredibly disappointing. But T1 leveraged their zone tools well enough to create pressure on DRX and force them to play team fights on T1's terms. My MVP for this game goes to Faker, whose zoning tools really disrupted the play from DRX. Game 4, DRX calls out T1 for their greedy drafting, and when they couldn't actually play the style and the team fight was so much stronger from the side of DRX, they just had to play strong vision and neutral controls, and it was silver scrapes for DRX at that point. My MVP goes to Kingen, who made the win conditions of Zeus just impossible to play. And for Game 5, my MVP goes to Kingen again for his teamfight ability, zoning tools, and again, just neutralizing Zeus in a way that is freaking impossible for him to play out the win conditions. A historic series regardless of the results. Both teams threw blood, sweat, and tears to bring us something incredible. Honestly, there were flaws. Vision inconsistent, side lanes with very little tension properly established, and neutral setups that were fumbled over and over again. This had some of the strongest and weakest macro plays for these players, and yet I hold myself at the edge of my seat for every flash, Base race, flank, solo kill, team fight, micro, individual outplays, and display of skill. This series was tense, exciting, and showed the best the teams could bring. That in the end, DRX wins it in a solid fashion. I put Kingen as my MVP of the series. Not only did he team fight better than Zeus, just overall, way better, and just as I expected he would, but he managed to nullify him in a way that prevented Team 1 from using him as part of their win conditions, and nullified him in ways that no other top laner could before. I really wanted T1 to win for Faker's 4th title, but DRX proved to be the most improved team of Worlds history, from barely qualifying for Worlds to being the champions. What a goddamn solid year. This was one of the best years. I don't think it was the best year. I think last year's Worlds had so much up and downs in terms of like expectations and how close things were from every stage. This year was a lot of expected stuff and then a lot of unexpected stuff. The storyline of DRX mostly is the thing that punches, for lack of a better term, the strongest execution on things. I'll cover a couple of like thoughts. Immediately off of both of these teams, right? For DRX, I'm happy to have been proven right from this series that Kingen was just going to be a better team fighter overall. Not just that, but he just honestly just straight up wrecked Zeus in lane. Really nullified him, which was great. Zeka did not have the same kind of presence as I expected him to, and Pioshik played like Pioshik does. There's only so much we can expect from somebody who did not have much of a presence and was really there as probably a catalyst for like teamwork. Beryl and Deft were consistent as ever, or as much as they can with their weird shenaniganries. Whilst on the other side, T1 still established themselves as a well-oiled machine, but a machine stuck in their ways. Either of the cases here, both of these teams showed incredible flaws and yet fantastic highs, and I couldn't have it any other way. The rest of my thoughts for this are going to be a little bit more scattered brain, right? I'm going to mostly go from region to region. For Oceania, buck up, right? You have a region who I've panned as being the worst region in the world over and over, and yet you still surprise me on some of the stuff that you execute on year after year. You are not in a situation where things are just hopeless. Turkey, you were part of a region that was on par with Vietnam and Brazil. There is a slump here. Something has to change, right? But it's not like you aren't bringing in players with incredible caliber and talent. Latin America, Isurus, guys, keep it up. Whatever the fuck you were doing this year is honestly working. You will just improve from here on out. From Brazil, Loud, you were also a very pleasant and unexpected surprise. You pushed things in a direction that most others were just not expecting. Keep it up. The region itself has been on an upturn that really needed to happen, and I would not be surprised if at some point a Brazilian team makes it to groups and maybe more. Japan. Detonation Focus Me can't be the only team. I love Detonation Focus Me. Big fan. Have been. They're my favorite team from that region. But something needs to challenge them more frequently and not just from them choking in playoffs. But you guys are doing great regardless. Vietnam. You're finally back on the big international stage, and you didn't make quite the same kind of splash as you usually would. Personally, great. I think this is a great waking up moment, especially since you haven't had the chance to do international competitions. There's a clear dip in quality that happened, and you're my favorite region still. The playstyle you have specifically to yourselves is unique. It is chaotic. It's scrappy. And it's yet very thoughtful of map movement. And I like that. Keep it up, refine it, and I'm excited to see where you guys go next year. For Southeast Asia, for the PCS, you guys were disrespected frequently regarding the status of your international view as the second region to win a world championship on the legitimate way, because people don't consider the first world championship. We'll get to that. And you still brought teams that really pushed the envelope. I'm gonna say it. I'm happy that it wasn't your regulars that came in, because they were not looking strong, and you brought in teams that really expressed where you were going. For North America, chill, guys. Being fourth is not a rewarding sign. We shouldn't treat this like you guys came last, because you did not. You should actually be proud of the fact that you were closing the gap on Europe, that you have found avenues of success in places that others would not. This is a 10 out of 10 situation, and North America performed a lot better than their scoreline implies. It is just a matter of a culture shift, and we'll see where that leads to. For Europe, I would not take this as a sign that things are going bad from here on out. Things happen. There was the 1 year where 0 Korean teams made it to semifinals. That was 2018. That's the year Aichi won. And yet, nobody really thought that Korea was done and out. It was totally not even the thought process. Their dynasty section had ended, but the region was no longer the worst region for getting 4th place. No. So, take this with stride. You still made 3rd place overall as a region. For China, for the LPL, you came in with 2 of the teams that I thought were going to make the distance and didn't quite cut it. But those 2 teams still showed personality and an approach to the game that other teams struggled with to keep up. Relentless aggression was fantastic. And for Korea, guys, you nailed it out of the park. Especially DRX, who lost only 4 games. They lost less than 55% of the losses that Korea as a whole sustained. That's crazy. Sorry, that's not even half of it. Out of the matchups internationally, they lost 1 game, 1 of the 9 games. So, take it as is. This is a fantastic year, but I do not think that this is the restart of a dynasty. This is not the restart of the domination of Korea. This is a sign that Korea did not lose its touch, that they've been here the entire time and will be for as long as League of Legends is a thing. So, from this, I personally am very happy with how this year was. I personally still would have wanted T1 to win. Honestly, I would have been elated. But this seems more fitting. Just from the way that DRX went from a team that some expected to not even make out of play-ins to winning the whole goddamn thing. Team no one was thinking about at all. In the beginning, middle, or even close to Worlds as being a contender. Good shit, guys. You like round of applause. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I'm solemnly and pensively going back and just recounting some of my favorite thoughts of like the whole tournament and some of the bittersweet moments and some of the moments that are frustrating. Moments like the top esports versus GAM game. I love that game. And it's bittersweet to see that like so much discourse came from it and rightful discourse. Or like the absolute joy to see evil geniuses really make their mark facing off Mad Lions. Or some of the sadder moments of like literally just witnessing Carrie cry on stage and hugging Deft and just like, oh, what a heartwarming moment. I want to hear what you guys have to say about like how this tournament, like your ups, downs, and middles. Any of your thoughts in the comments down below would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. Super appreciated. The whole like and subscribe thing. Also appreciated, but I will be on hiatus until spring playoffs, where I will do the same thing I did every year. I will start watching the best of fives, covering it here on a week-to-week basis. And like that, I'll see you, I think, like in March or April. Probably March. Yeah, I think they start in March. Thank you for watching.